My mom told everyone I ran off with some man when I couldn't afford the $2,000 per person Christmas she demanded. So I did this at her surprise party, then kicked her out of my house. Throwaway for obvious reasons. So I, female 28, just found out my mom Beverly, female 55, has been telling our entire extended family that I'm basically a horrible daughter who abandoned my family to shack up with some guy. I'm still processing this honestly, and I don't even know where to start. I know this is going to sound completely insane, but I swear every word is true. Like, I wouldn't believe this if someone else told me, but here we are. Okay, so some background. I'm a registered nurse, and I just bought my first house about 6 months ago, which I'm so proud of, by the way. It took me years of saving while living with 2 roommates in this tiny apartment during nursing school. The house isn't anything fancy, but I finally have my own space, you know. Plus, I've been dating Michael, male 31, for about 8 months now. He's a high school teacher, and honestly the most normal, stable guy I've ever been with. His family does these super casual potluck Christmases, which is so different from my family's. Well, you'll see. So anyway, my mom has always been kind of intense since her divorce from my dad 5 years ago. And honestly, even before that, if I'm being real. But this feels different, like way more mean than her usual stuff. This whole mess started at my cousin's barbecue last summer when my mom announced her vision for Christmas. She wanted to rent this luxury place in Aspen for a week, guided snowmobile tours, catered meals from some fancy company she found online, the whole 9 yards. The cost? $2,000 per person. I literally choked on my beer when she said that number. Look, I tried to be diplomatic about it. I'm not usually confrontational, and my mom, well, she gets upset easily. I explained about my student loans from nursing school, my new mortgage payments, and like all the random expenses that come with owning a house. My hot water heater died 3 weeks after I moved in, and that was $800 right there. I mean, I'm doing okay financially, but I don't have tons of money. I suggested alternatives, hosting Christmas at my new house, or maybe doing dinner at different family members' houses. Normal stuff that wouldn't cost anyone thousands of dollars. But my mom shot down every single suggestion. She kept saying, I don't understand the importance of making memories, and that this was supposed to be special after everything our family had been through, meaning her divorce, I guess. Michael was there for some of these conversations, and he was honestly confused by the whole thing. His family just does Christmas dinner and exchanges gifts. Nothing that costs a fortune. So finally, I had to be direct about it. This is where everything went to shit. I told her I couldn't afford the Aspen trip, full stop. She asked why I couldn't just figure it out if family really mattered to me. I explained again about my budget and offered to contribute to something less expensive. She started accusing me of prioritizing material things like my house over family relationships. I was like, having financial boundaries is responsible, not selfish. But she just kept escalating, said something about my new priorities, and stormed out of my house. I called after her that we could still do Christmas together, just in a more affordable way, but she slammed her car door and drove off. I stood in my driveway like, what just happened? I figured she'd cool off in a few days like she usually does after our arguments. My mom's always been prone to storming out, but she comes around eventually, except she didn't. Instead, I got a call from my Aunt Virginia last week asking to check on my situation. I was confused because what situation? Virginia mentioned being disappointed but not surprised that I had chosen to run off with some man instead of prioritizing family for Christmas. I was totally confused. Like, what was she even talking about? It took several minutes of very confused conversation before I realized what had happened. My mom had been telling people that I was skipping Christmas because I was too busy shacking up with Michael, that I'd completely changed since meeting him and was living in sin and had abandoned my family obligations to play house. I was furious and confused, and honestly kind of hurt because, I've always been close with my mom. I helped her through her entire divorce, both financially and emotionally. I was there for every single crying session and court date and helped her move apartments twice. Though, if I'm being honest, I have been avoiding some of her calls recently because they always turn into guilt trips about something. But then more family started reaching out. My cousin Eddie mentioned being confused about my sudden personality change. My grandmother asked pointed questions about my living situation when I visited her last month. Apparently, my mom has been spinning this whole narrative about how I've become this completely different person since meeting Michael, that I'm prioritizing my relationship over family and basically turned into someone who doesn't care about family traditions. The thing is, none of this is even true. Michael has been nothing but supportive, and he's actually encouraged me to find compromises with my family. He's never once suggested I should skip Christmas or anything like that. If anything, he thinks I should stand up to my mom more often. I don't understand why she's doing this. The Christmas thing was literally just about money. I can't afford a $2,000 vacation 6 months after buying my first house. That's not choosing a man over family. That's basic financial responsibility. But somehow, this has turned into me being this terrible daughter who abandoned her family. I tried calling my mom yesterday to talk about it, but she didn't answer. I left a voicemail asking her to call me back so we could clear this up, but nothing. I'm starting to realize that maybe this isn't just about Christmas. Maybe there's something else going on that I'm not seeing. I mean, I've always been the responsible one who helps her with everything, moving furniture, medical appointments, all of it. So why is she telling people I don't care about family? I honestly don't know what to do. Part of me wants to call every family member individually to explain what really happened, but that feels like a lot, and also kind of crazy. Michael thinks I should just let it blow over, but I'm worried this is going to permanently damage my relationships with my extended family. Some of these people I've been close with my whole life, and now they think I'm this selfish person who chose a boyfriend over Christmas. I guess I just don't understand how we got here. 6 months ago, everything was fine, and now I'm apparently the family villain because I can't afford a luxury vacation. Has anyone dealt with something like this before? Like when a parent starts spreading lies about you to family? I'm honestly at a loss here. Sorry this got so long. I'm just really overwhelmed right now. Now for the first update. Well, you all called it. Every single one of you was right about this getting worse before it gets better. So update on the whole Beverly situation. Honestly, I should have listened to the comments telling me to prepare for escalation because wow, did things spiral quickly. First off, to those asking if I've tried talking to my mom directly, yes, I did try that. Multiple times, actually. And it basically confirmed what a lot of you were saying about this being way deeper than just Christmas stuff. I guess I was still being naive about the whole thing. Like, part of me genuinely thought maybe there had been some kind of miscommunication or misunderstanding. I mean, this is my mom we're talking about. The woman who taught me to ride a bike and helped me study for nursing school exams. So I kept thinking there had to be some reasonable explanation for why she was telling people I'd basically abandoned the family for some guy. God, I feel so stupid typing that out now. Anyway, like 3 weeks ago, I decided to call her and try to have what I thought would be a calm conversation about clearing up some confusion with the family. The call started okay, I guess. Like, she answered and seemed normal at first. But the second I brought up the family stuff, she got defensive. I was like, hey mom, some relatives seem to think I'm choosing Michael over Christmas, and I just wanted to clarify that the real issue was the cost, not that I don't care about family traditions. And she just went off. She started saying stuff like how I was making that choice by refusing the Aspen trip, that I used to be more family-oriented before meeting Michael. I tried explaining again about my budget and mortgage payments, and she basically said I was making excuses. I asked her to please just clarify to everyone that the real issue was money, not that I don't want to spend time with family. And she said, I swear I'm not making this up. She said she wouldn't lie to make me feel better about my choices. Lie to make me feel better. I was asking her to tell the truth. So then I asked her what exactly she'd been telling people, and she got all evasive. Said something about how family members draw their own conclusions when someone suddenly changes their priorities. I pressed her about the whole running off with some man thing that Aunt Virginia mentioned, and she hung up on me. Just hung up. After claiming I was attacking her for caring about family traditions. I sat on my front steps for like 20 minutes, just staring at my phone. I couldn't believe she'd actually hung up instead of just being honest about what happened. But it gets worse. Over the next few weeks, I started hearing more stuff from family members, and the story kept evolving. Suddenly, it wasn't just that I was prioritizing my relationship over Christmas. Now, Beverly was apparently telling people that Michael might be controlling and isolating me from my family. I was furious when I heard that, because Michael has been nothing but supportive about my family stuff. He's the one who encouraged me to keep trying to find compromises with my mom. He's never once suggested I should cut contact or skip family events or anything like that. If anything, he thinks I'm too accommodating with her demanding behavior. The worst part was at my cousin Lacey's engagement party last month. Uncle Ross kept making these pointed comments about young people these days choosing romance over responsibility while staring directly at Michael. Poor Michael had no idea what was going on and kept asking me if he'd done something wrong. I mean, I get it now that you guys were warning me about this pattern in the comments, but at the time I was still thinking this was about hurt feelings over Christmas, not some deliberate campaign to turn everyone against me. And speaking of Lacey, she finally admitted she's known the real story about the Christmas costs this whole time. She was like, "Yeah, I know Mom was asking for way too much money, but you know how she gets when she feels attacked." When she feels attacked. I never attacked her. I just said I couldn't afford $2,000. Sorry, I'm getting worked up again. This whole thing is just so frustrating. But anyway, Lacey told me she and some of our cousins are planning a surprise 56th birthday party for Beverly next month. They want to hold it at my house because apparently I have the most space and I'm like centrally located for everyone. I said yes to hosting it, which probably sounds crazy given everything that's been happening, but I guess I'm planning to use it as an opportunity to set the record straight once and for all. I know that sounds like a lot and maybe petty, but I'm just done with this. I've been the responsible daughter my entire life. I helped her through her divorce emotionally and financially. I've never caused major family problems or been irresponsible with money or anything like that. And now suddenly, I'm being painted as this selfish person who abandoned her family for a boyfriend. No, I'm not letting that narrative stand. The party planning conversation with Lacey was interesting. She asked if my house would work for about 30 people, and I said sure, no problem. She confirmed Beverly has no idea about the party. She thinks they're just having dinner together. I offered to handle all the setup and cleanup, which honestly surprised Lacey. She made some comment about hoping this party might help bring everyone back together after all the recent family problems. So, I asked what she knew about the problems, and she basically admitted she knows Beverly exaggerated the situation, but said both of us are being stubborn. When I pressed for details about what Beverly has actually been saying, Lacey revealed that Beverly claims I won't even speak to her anymore, which is rich, considering she's the one who hung up on me. I realized Beverly has somehow managed to paint herself as the victim in this entire situation. Like, she's the poor abandoned mother whose daughter won't talk to her, instead of the person who chose to spread lies rather than just admit she'd planned an unreasonably expensive Christmas. For the past couple weeks, I've been quietly collecting evidence. Screenshots of my original text to Beverly about the Christmas costs. Saved voicemails where she acknowledged the financial aspect before she started spinning this whole narrative. Notes about which family members heard what stories and when. I'm not usually one for confrontations, but I feel like she's forced my hand here. She's had months to tell the truth, and instead, she keeps doubling down on the lies. I'm nervous about the party, honestly. Part of me wonders if I should just let this blow over like Michael suggests. But I'm worried that if I don't address this directly, some family members are going to think poorly of me permanently. Also, and maybe this makes me petty, but I'm kind of tired of being treated like the problem when all I did was have reasonable financial boundaries. The party is in 2 weeks. I have no idea how this is going to go, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Information to add. Since so many people are asking about Michael's reaction to all this, he's been incredibly patient, but I can tell it's starting to wear on him. He doesn't understand why my family operates this way. His family just talks things out directly, and he's getting frustrated watching me stress about it constantly. He keeps saying I should just focus on the relationships that are healthy and let the others go, but it's harder when it's your own mother, you know? To those suggesting I should just go no contact, I've definitely considered it, especially after she hung up on me. But Beverly raised me mostly on her own after the divorce, and we were really close before this whole mess started. I guess part of me is still hoping she'll come to her senses and realize how much damage she's causing. Though honestly, after reading all your comments about similar situations, I'm starting to think that might be wishful thinking. Now for the second update. Hey Reddit, remember me? The daughter whose mom was spreading lies about abandoning family for my boyfriend. Well, the surprise party happened, and yeah, it went exactly as badly as some of you predicted in the comments. Honestly, I should have listened to everyone saying this would go wrong, but I guess I was still being naive about the whole thing. This is going to be long, sorry in advance, and I'm still kind of shaking while writing this because it all happened yesterday and I barely slept last night. So the party. I spent the entire morning setting everything up for like 30 people, which is way more than I've ever hosted before. Michael helped me move furniture around to make space, and we borrowed extra chairs from my neighbor. Lacey had made this whole photo slideshow thing on my TV with pictures of Beverly growing up and stuff. It was actually really sweet and made me feel guilty about what I was planning to do. I kept second-guessing myself, thinking maybe I should just let this go and try to work things out privately, like some of you suggested. But then I remembered all the comments about how people like this don't change unless they face consequences, and I tried to stay focused. Michael had to go pick up the cake. Looking back, that detail feels so weird now, considering how everything ended. When Beverly actually arrived, the surprise part worked. Lacey texted me when they were pulling up and everyone hid, and when Beverly walked in, we all yelled surprise, and she started crying. She seemed genuinely shocked and happy, and kept saying she couldn't believe we'd done this for her. That moment almost changed my mind, honestly. Seeing her so happy, part of me thought maybe this would be the perfect opportunity for her to come clean on her own. Like maybe being surrounded by family love would make her realize how much damage the lies were causing. I know that sounds stupid now, but I was really hoping she'd just do the right thing without me having to force it. For the first hour, everything was totally normal. People were talking, Beverly was opening presents, I got her this really nice scarf she'd been wanting. Everyone was sharing memories and stories. Beverly kept making these comments about having such a wonderful family and how grateful she was for all the love and support during difficult times. And honestly, each time she said stuff like that, my stomach twisted a little more because I knew what she meant by difficult times, and it wasn't what everyone else thought. I was waiting for the right moment, but also kind of hoping I wouldn't have to do anything. Like maybe she'd stop with the victim act on her own. But then, I was in the kitchen and I could hear Beverly talking to Aunt Virginia and Uncle Ross in the living room. I could hear everything clearly. I swear I wasn't intentionally eavesdropping. The house just isn't that big. Virginia asked if there'd been any improvement in the situation with me. Beverly said no, that I barely speak to her anymore, and she doesn't know what else to do. Ross said something about young women getting so wrapped up in relationships they forget their responsibilities to family, and Beverly agreed with him. Started going on about how she just wants her daughter back and doesn't understand how I changed so much. Virginia offered to talk to me about respecting my mother, and Beverly said she didn't want to cause more problems, but appreciated the support. I'm listening to my own mother actively maintain the lies at her own birthday party that I'm hosting in my house that I've spent all day preparing for her. That's when I realized some of you were right about this never stopping on its own. She had the perfect opportunity to come clean, and instead, she doubled down. I couldn't do it anymore. I went back into the living room and asked for everyone's attention. Said I wanted to make a special tribute to Beverly for her birthday. Instead, I said I needed to clear up some wrong information that had been going around about my recent choices. Beverly looked like she knew immediately what was happening. I explained the real Christmas situation, pulled out my phone, and showed the text messages about the $2,000 per person cost. Passed my phone around so people could see Beverly's original announcement about Aspen and my response about not being able to afford it. Beverly immediately started interrupting, saying I was making this about money and embarrassing her at her own party. I told her she'd already embarrassed me to the entire family for months with lies. She insisted she never lied, only shared her feelings about my priorities. So I pulled up more texts. The ones where she said I should figure it out if family really mattered to me. The one where she said I was making excuses when I explained about my mortgage and student loans. People were starting to murmur and look uncomfortable. Uncle Ross asked what exactly had been said about the Christmas situation because he was clearly realizing his comments about responsibilities were based on wrong information. I explained that Beverly told people I ran off with some man when the real issue was that I couldn't afford a $2,000 vacation 6 months after buying my first house. Aunt Virginia looked really uncomfortable and admitted she'd heard that version of events. A few other people nodded like they'd heard similar things. Beverly completely lost it at that point, started calling me ungrateful and cruel for ruining her birthday with lies. She was getting louder and more upset and kept insisting I was twisting everything. I said she'd had months to tell the truth and chose to keep lying instead. She started yelling about how I was attacking her and making her look bad in front of everyone. Said something about me being vindictive and cruel. A few people tried to calm her down, but she just kept escalating. Finally, I said, "I want you to leave my house." Complete silence. Beverly looked shocked and said I couldn't kick out my own mother. I told her clearly that this is my house and she's not welcome here until she publicly apologizes to everyone she lied to about me. She refused to leave at first, said I was being unreasonable, but I just kept repeating that she needed to go. The aftermath was messy. About half the family seemed to support me. Cousin Eddie said he'd suspected something was off about Beverly's story because it didn't match what he knew about my character. Aunt Virginia apologized for believing the lies without hearing my side, but other people thought I was too harsh. Lacey tried to play mediator, saying both of you are wrong and we should work this out privately. A few people made comments about family disagreements not belonging at birthday parties. I maintained my position though. Beverly needed to take responsibility for her actions instead of playing the victim. Beverly eventually left with this whole wounded dignity performance. Took Lacey with her and said that I would regret treating my mother this way. Said something about how families should forgive each other, and I was being heartless. It's been less than 24 hours, and I'm already getting mixed reactions from family members. Some have reached out to apologize for judging me unfairly. Others are suggesting I should have handled it privately. A few maintain that I was wrong to embarrass Beverly publicly, regardless of what she did. I feel relieved that the truth is finally out there, but also really sad about the family rift. Like, I know I did the right thing, but it doesn't feel good. And of course, Beverly is still playing victim. I heard through Lacey that she's now telling people I kicked my own mother out for no reason and that the whole thing was a setup to humiliate her. So basically, nothing has changed on her end, except now she has a new grievance to add to her list. I've decided I'm maintaining the boundary that she's not welcome until she takes full responsibility. Michael supports this decision. Thank God, because I need at least one person who thinks I'm not completely insane. But I'll admit I sometimes wonder if I handled it the right way. Then again, watching her continue to lie even after being confronted with evidence, I think it validates my choice to take such strong action. Some of you said people like this never change, and maybe you're right. I guess we'll see how long she can maintain this victim narrative now that half the family knows the truth. Sorry again for the novel. I'm still processing everything and barely slept last night. Thanks for all the support in my previous posts. A lot of you called exactly how this would go down.